Hello folks, welcome back to another tutorial. So in this video, we will be continuing our Ktor series and we will be learning how to create HTTP APIs. So if you followed my last tutorial, I told you how you can, create your first Ktor application. It was more like a setup kind of video, but this is gonna be more practical because APIs, if when it comes to APIs are basically application programming interface. You can learn more from codepur.dev from the cookbooks. So basically we will be dealing with APIs. So for example, a client has to speak to a server. For example, your computer has to speak to another computer, so they can use APIs to communicate, and there can be a format of messages which they can exchange. So how everything works, that we will see by creating a new project. Why I'm creating a new project, I can continue with the existing project, but I want to show you something, so that's why I'm creating a new project. So for example, if you see here, again we have selected Ktor. Right now I'll just say Ktor tutorial, and then we will say API. Okay, so this is an API tutorial. This time again create Git repository, Kotlin, everything will be same except configuration in. So last time it was code, this time we will use hocon file, right, which is configuration file. So that's what I told you in the last video, right? And then there will be some more changes. Obviously you can do all of these in your existing projects itself rather than creating a new project every time, but just to make it simple, I'm doing this. Now last time we added routing as one of the things in the plugins, but this time we will add 3 plugins. One we will add first of all is content negotiation. So this is something which we require for 2 purposes. Okay, one is that so that we can accept any content type, right? In terms of headers, we have space, we can use accept and content type headers. So for example, if you want application/JSON, application/text, and all those kind of media types, right, between client and server. So all those negotiation can be done. Second, it can also help in serializing and deserializing. For example, we have a model, we want to serialize it in JSON, XML, CBOR, all those kind of things. So we will be using JSON. JSON is JavaScript object notation. Again, you can go to codepur.dev and you can read everything using one of the cookbooks. And for this, we also require a separate serialization plugin, which can be either this one, Kotlin X.serialization, JSON or JSON. And then this is how you will use it. For example, okay, they have a very good example. We will use that. So we will add it. So once I'm adding it, it says that by default, it will also add routing. So, okay, I'm fine because at the end I want routing as well. And the third one is basically the same, Kotlin X.serialization, because I want to do serialization. So either I can use this JSON or JSON, anything of this. So 3 plugins I have added in total. Let's create it. And then we will understand some other parts of the project as well. In the meantime, it is creating and downloading all the dependencies. Let's open this project a little bit. So here you can see we have one build.gradle.kts file as well. I told you Gradle is used to manage dependencies. Let's see how it manages it, right? For example, here we can see we have a Ktor plugin version, Kotlin, IDs, plugin serialization. You can see we have applied it into the plugin section. What else we have? So we have all these dependencies. One is server core, which gives Kotlin's Ktor's basically core components. Another is content negotiation, which we just installed, right? Serialization for serialization, Netty for Netty engine. And there is something called logback. So basically we want our logs to be formatted nicely. So that's why we are using this logback. And then we have some test packages basically, which can help us in creating the test environment of those. Like rather than using HTTP interface, we can directly write test cases, right? So these are test implementations. That's it. And yeah, nothing much. And then we have this Gradle.properties where you will find the versions of it. Like Ktor version is this, Kotlin version, logback version and all. What else has changed? So inside this test folder, we have application test, which is fine. Main, then we have resources. Earlier we had just this logback.xml. This is for formatting of logs. But now we have one more file, which is application.conf. It was not in the previous tutorial. So now what is happening, rather than having a code configuration, we are using a file configuration. Like we have a file. So basically it says Ktor deployment here. It specifies the port 8080 and the modules itself, application kt.module. That's it. So which means that it will be removed from application part, which we will just see. So inside Kotlin, we have application.kt as it was before, but now you can see it has a function main that says IO server, net engine, and blah, blah, blah. Configuration, configure serialization, configure routing. Earlier it was just routing, but now it says configure serialization as well. One more thing which is very important is that if you don't know Kotlin, then you should not jump to Ktor. So yeah, learn Kotlin first and then come to Ktor. Yeah, that was just a disclaimer. Now in the plugins, we had routing, which is again get request just with a normal, like respond text, hello world and all that shit. Okay, that's fine. That's not we want. We want something more, right? So what else we can do now? We have this serialization which says, okay, configure serialization. It installs content negotiation and then it says JSON. So basically this JSON is nothing but it just says that, enable the JSON serializable. So that's what is JSON serializer. Okay. And yeah, that's it. So that's what you get. Now how we will create APIs, right? So for example, we have list of customers. Okay, you are making a company where you have a lot of customers. You have to add them, list them, delete them, all those sort of things. So how we will do that? So what we will do, we will go to com.example. We will create a new package. We will probably name it, let's say models. Okay, and then we can create a new Kotlin file. Okay, we can name it customer.kt, and we will say don't ask again and edit. Okay, now what do I want to do? I want to make it serializable. Okay, so serializable, you can use @serializable. This will directly not give you this, so you will have to import basically. So import Kotlin x.serialization.serializable. Okay, and then you will get this serializable, and then we will create a data class. If you don't know about data class, again you will have to learn a little bit of Kotlin. Data class is nothing but just a class which can be easily used to create objects, basically, in short. So we will have a variable ID which will be of type string. Then we will have a first name of customer, again string, and then last name of the customer, last name string, and then we will have what else? Maybe email of the customer, email string. All of these are string right now, but okay, that's fine. Okay, let's say, well, yeah, this is our data class. And right now, we also want some data, right? We have to store that data. So right now, rather than using some database, we can use in-memory storage that is like just a list. So for example, we can just say customers, right? And we can just say mutable list of customers, right? Customer. So this customers will have all the list of customers. Right now it's empty, so it should return empty, right? So that's how you do it. Now we also want to define routes for this customer, right? How you will do get request, post request, delete request. So if you don't know about these requests, again, you can go to codepur.dev and you can learn them. So again, new package where we call it routing. Okay, routing is fine. Actually, not routing. I think we should rename it. This looks scary. This won't be able, like your application won't be able to understand. Routes is a better name. So we will use routes, and inside that we will create customer routes. Okay, so another Kotlin file, and we will call it customer routes. Again, a very empty file. So what we will do, we will first of all have to import routing. So we will say import io.ktor.server.routing.star. Star means all of it, right? Now we will create a function called route. Function name will be customer routing, right? Okay, and then we can create our routes. So first route, for example, let's do is /customer. So this will be our first route, customer/customer. Now you can create multiple get, post, whatever request. For example, I can have a get request here, right? I can have another get request here, right? You can create n number of it, right? So for example, the difference between the first and second one will be, first will give us all the customers. Second will give us, let's say, just one customer with a particular ID. Okay. For example, this. Yeah, this. So, oh, sorry. This, yeah, this is looking nice. So one is giving all the IDs, one is with a specific ID, right? All the customers and a specific customer with this ID. Similarly, you can specify post requests as well. We'll come to the post request part later. Post is to create a customer, and then you can have a delete. So for example, you want to delete a customer, most of the time that will be the case. So that's how you will create it. Yeah, it's very easy, right? Now once you are done with this, now what else? Let's do it. Let's create our first API. So first one will be to get all the customers. This is not how you will get it. You will have to write some code, right? So for example, we will check if our customers is not empty, right? Then only we can return customers, right? Otherwise we won't be. So we can say call dot respond, and I think we can give some message, or we can just, okay, I think this is fine. And we can respond with customers, right? That's fine. So if customer is not empty, then we will return customers. So you will get a list of customers, right? We use serializable. So basically it will convert it to JSON itself. If it's not, right, then there is a problem. Then what we can say, we will respond with a text saying, no customers found. Okay. And we can also return a status as http status code dot okay, which means your request was good, like okay, which means 200, but you could not find, we could not find any customer because our list is empty, right? I mean, it's empty. So yeah, these are the two of the scenarios. Now how we will run this request, like customer routing, right? If we go back to application, we have configure serialization, configure routing. If I go back here, you can say we have a get request slash hello world. That does not look exciting to me at all. So rather than this, we can just say customer routing. Okay, now we have set the routing. If you want, you can run this application and you can see it. So application, we can run it here, right? And I think we should be able to see it. So for example, I'll do it. So I have here this also, like I have, let's delete it. Request. I'll show you how it works. Like I'm using Thunder client as well. And there are various ways of testing your APIs. So now it is running here. And what I'm going to do, I'll copy this URL. I'll go to here. And if I hit it directly, I'll not see anything because I removed that get request. But I have one new, which is /customer. So if you see, it will return me no customer found, right? What if I had a customer, right? For example, if I go back here in the customer.kt, we could have a customer, right? For example, here I could have a list of customer. Okay, what we could do, mutable lists of, rather than that, we can just say customer, and we could create customer, right? For example, ID 1, name 1, then Kumar, and then let's say hello Codepur @gmail.com, right? And this is a string as well, so string. So I can have one customer now, right? Like I will rerun my application and let's see if this time it gives me a different result, right? So this is how you can write your API, by the way, right? Okay, cool. So now if I go back, if I refresh it, oh, I can see this is the JSON which I was talking about. So we got an array inside that we have ID, first name Pawan, last name Kumar, and all those kind of things. Let's say I want to just get this person with ID 1. So /customer/1. And it won't work because if I go back to our customer routes here in the ID part, I'm doing nothing. So for example, how I will get the ID. For example, I can say well ID, and I'll just say call dot parameters, and inside parameters, I can get this ID. If I get it, then it's okay. So I can use this conditional operator. Otherwise, I will return @get. call dot respond text, I will say that missing ID if that ID does not exist. Okay. And then I can also say HTTP status code as bad request, because this is request is not good, right? Second, what is the second situation? This is one. Okay. Second situation can be, what if I find that ID? Okay. Then I'll have to find that customer also. So I'll say well customer, right? And then I can say our customers dot find. So find, we have this thing here, and it dot id is equal to id. Okay. So this should work, right? Oh no, it should be equal to this id, right? So if this id is equal to customer's id, then return this customer. What if we don't get any customer, right? Then we will say otherwise return get, and again we will say no customer, no, one second, no customer was found with this id, and then we can just specify the id as well, right? And then we can also specify the status code, which is a very good way of telling. We can just say not found, not found, not found, where it is, yeah, not found. And then at the end, once you are done with all these things, all these calculations and all, you can just say call dot respond, and you can pass customer, right? You can pass the customer, right? If you find the customer. All right, so now we will rerun it, and then we will see if this works. So I'm just rerunning it. So this is one way of keeping the ID. And yeah. And if I refresh it, let's do a refresh. Oh, so if I specify one, okay, if I specify just customer, then you will see we will get an array, right? With using this, these braces, you can see, right? If I specify /1, I will just get a JSON where it's just about my information. Let's say if I go with 2, then you can see no customer was found with this ID 2, right? So everything is working just fine, and this is good only. And yeah, now moving to the another one, right? This is fine only. Everything is working just like how it should be. What else we can do? How we can create a new customer, right? For example, how we can do a post request. So what I can do, for example, when you do post request, someone will send this data in the JSON format, right? So what I'll do, I'll just say customer, that, I'll receive a customer. So we can say call dot, rather than parameter, this time we have something called receive. And then we can specify the type of the class. So for example, customer kind of person, right? And then what we will do, we will add it to our customers dot add, and we will pass this customer. Yeah, where is this customer's gone? Oh, it's value. Okay, we can just say mutable list of. Now it should work. Let's go back to customer routing. Yeah, now it works. And then once we are done, then we can just say call dot respond text, and we can say customer created successfully. And for this we use status code 201. Okay. For example, bad request is 400, right? And if you go, you can see what is this request. So you can see 400, right? And not found is 404, right? So things like that, you can get all this information. So we can just say HTTP status code as created, not created. It should be like this. Okay. Dot created. Yeah, it's 201 basically. Yeah, 201. So now we are done with this part as well. How we will test it, right? So now you cannot test it using the browser, because with the browser you can just hit this URL, right? So you need some maybe a thing like a postman, or maybe you can, so I have another way you can do it directly inside IntelliJ itself. But for now, let's use some third party thing. For example, I'm using VS Code, and inside VS Code we have something like this Thunder client which I'm using. So what I can say, rather than get, I can say post, and I can say, for example, http 0.0.0.0 8080 slash customer, and I can pass it as a body. Okay, JSON body. So what I'll do, I'll use this one, for example, I'll use this JSON copy from here, and I will paste it here. Rather than ID one, I'll just say 2, and rather than Pawan, let's say I can call it Salman. Last name can be Khan. It can be being human. Anything. For example, this is the data, right? I can specify the header here like accept all. Right now it's like, you can say application slash JSON. For example, I can say this, right? And then you can post the request. So if I go back, I can see if things are working. Yeah, I think it's running now. Let's try it out. Okay. So what we will do, we will hit send, and you can see we got customer created successfully. And if you see, we got status 201 created, right? Now, if I go back and if I just hit customer, then in the get request, then I'll get all the customers, right? Oh, it says missing ID because we have this thing. Let's do it. Now, if you see, we have two customers. One is this and comma, and another is this, right? Salman Khan. Oh, nice. So everything is working fine. If I go to /2, I'll find it. Yeah, Salman Khan is found, right? If I'll try 3, then I won't find it because 3 is not, no customer is found, right? So we are doing pretty good. Now how I can delete the customer? It's like just a similar logic. You don't have to do anything else, right? So what you can do in the delete part, how we will delete the customer. For example, we will have to get the ID again. Then, right? And if we find ID, then we can just say if customers dot remove if. So we can use something called remove if, which is nothing but we can check if it dot id is equal to this id, then we can just say, let's say call dot respond text that customer removed successfully, right? And then we can give a status code as accepted. So we can just say status http status code as accepted. So if you go inside accepted, you will find that it is 202, right? All right. What if we don't find that, if we are not able to remove it, right? So we can just say that call dot respond text. Okay, one second, guys. We can say not found. And this time status code would be same, right? The not found one. So status is equal to not found. Yeah, this is fine. So this is how you will delete it. So now let's try to rerun it. So we have to just pass the ID. That's it. That's all you have to do. So once it is running, okay, it's running now. So what I'll do, I'll go back to my, this thing, which is this. Rather than post, I'll say delete. Okay. And I'll remove the JSON from here. And now I have to specify the ID. For example, if I try to do this, you will see 400 bad request, right? Because there is no ID, right? If I try to see the header, okay, this is nothing. But now let's remove the second ID, which is the Salman Khan one, or let's remove the first one, in fact, the Pawan Kumar one. So if I send, Okay, it says 202 accepted, customer removed successfully. Now if you will go and you will try to find one, you won't find it. No customer was found with ID 1. If we see the list of customers directly, okay, no customers found as well, because we lost the access of the previous one, right? The second one, because we rerun the application. So this is fine. So everything is working. We have registered the routes as well. And so now what are the other ways of unit testing it? I was telling you one more thing I can tell you is how you can test these endpoints. So what you can do in your project itself, you can create a new file. For example, here itself, you can create a new file and you can call it customer test.http. Okay, so it's an http file which can, you can select some environment from here and you can do that, right? So what we can do, we can have, for example, we can create a post request here. So we can say post, right? And let's say I want to create, so 0.0.0 and 8080 slash customer. This is how I want to create it. Like this is the URL, right? I can specify content type. For this, we are using content negotiation, and we can just say application slash JSON. And then we can pass some data over here. For example, I can use ID. Okay. And I can just say, let's say, for example, 5. And I can say first name. Let's say Sachin. Okay. And then let's say last name. Then we can just say, for example, Luca. Right. And then we can just say email. Right. And then we can say sachin@gmail.com, whatever, like anything like this. Okay, so this is one post request. Similarly, what you can do, you can create multiple requests. For example, you can just say hash hash hash, and I can say a get request, get, and you can have the same get request, right? So we can run one by one, or we can run all of these. So for example, if I run this, you will see created successfully and time took this much. So if you see the content length also, it says 29 bytes, right? And now if I run this get, then you can see we have now two things. One is, okay, is also saved the file to this JSON file. And now we have ID 5, first name Sachin Tendulkar and all. So all of these datas are here. And yeah, that's how you can use HTTP requests inside IntelliJ. So yeah, that's, and if you want to test using this application test, we can write our test cases here as well. So for example, if you want to like write test for maybe what we can do, for example, okay, we have class application test, for example, right? So what we can do, we can change it. Maybe we can write something else, or we can create another file over here. For example, what I'll do is, let's create a new file. We can call it customer test probably, right? And okay, then it's fine. It's fine. So what we will do, we will just copy this entire thing and we will paste it over here. Okay, now rather than this, we will just say customer test. Yeah, this is fine only. And now rather than saying test root, we will say, let's say test customer, right? And then we will say this application is configure routing. This is fine only. I think we can, okay, this is fine. What we can do, we can just say, for example, here, well, customer is equal to client.get slash we can say slash customer, right? And we can say that status should be okay, right? Yeah, this is nice. And what we can do is, one more thing we can do is we can use um, this customer later, but that's fine. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, let's see what we get. And that's this test is passed, and you can see we got success. So yeah, I mean, you can write the data also. You can test it using, like body of response and all those kind of things you can do. For example, if you want, you can just say here one more asserts equal, I guess that should work, assert equals. Yeah, and then you can just check that what kind of data you got, right? And then you can check with the customer dot body as text and all this. So for example, here you can paste the data and you can check it. So all this kind of things you can do. So this is how you write test APIs, like you can test the APIs basically. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care. And please share with your friends if someone wants to learn Ktor. Bye bye, take care.